JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, men charged after a body dumped on highway. 2 men were held after a body was dumped on the Edward-Seaga Highway in St. Catherine later last month have been charged. They are O'Keefe Anthony Brooks, otherwise called Baller Askell, a 33-year-old higgler from Innswood Village, and Shaquem Richards, otherwise called Tattoo, 21, a tattoo artist from Featherbed Lane, Spanish Town, both in St. Catherine. The two are charged with murder, illegal possession of firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. They'll appear in the St. Catherine Parish Court on February 17, 2022. Brooks and Richards are charged in connection with the death of Carlton Alexander Daughtry, otherwise called Ricky, 36, a pig farmer from Denby, Clarendon, but who also resided in Innswood Village. Reports are that about 10:15 p.m. on January 21, 2022, Jamaica Defence Force personnel were alerted by a motorist that a man was thrown from a vehicle on the highway. Acting on that information, the JDF officers intercepted a silver Nissan motor car with the 2 men on board. A search of the vehicle led to the seizure of a gun. Blood was seen in a section of the vehicle. The men were subsequently detained for questioning. Further checks by the JDF officers led to the discovery of Daughtry's body along the roadway. Jamaican woman stabbed to death in New York while walking to work. A Jamaican woman was stabbed to death while she was walking to work in Brooklyn, New York on Sunday morning. The deceased has been identified as 50-year-old Dorothy Clark Rozier of Brooklyn, New York and Montego Bay, St. James. A 34-year-old man, Anthony Wilson, has been charged with murder and criminal possession in relation to the killing, and now awaits arraignment in Brooklyn Criminal Court, police said Monday. He reportedly lives just blocks away from the brutal attack. While family members had speculated that the woman was stabbed by a man who was stalking her, police insiders said the attack may have been random, according to a New York Daily News report. Clark Rozier was reportedly walking through a parking lot in East Flatbush, more than a mile from her Brooklyn home, to get to a work at a store when she was attacked and stabbed about 5:50 a.m. Sunday. Further reports said that she managed to make her way to her workplace but collapsed on the pavement. She was rushed to a nearby hospital but later died. Her sister, Myrtle Clark, told the New York Daily News that her sister was not bleeding, but they saw this big knife in her back. Clark disclosed that her sister had developed a friendship with a man a few months prior to her death, but the relationship turned volatile. According to Clark, the man also began showing up at her sister's workplace unannounced and sent text messages that she described as aggressive. Despite the threats, Clark Rozier did not contact the police, Clark shared, adding that family members believe the man was behind their loved one's murder. Clark Rozier moved to New York City from Montego Bay after meeting her husband, who currently resides in Philadelphia. In 2019, her sister told reporters. 2 shot, 1 killed in Cooreville Gardens. The tranquility of the usually quiet community of Cooreville Gardens in St. Andrew was disrupted by explosions on Sunday night as gunmen pumped bullets into the bodies of 2 men, one of whom succumbed to his injuries. In the community yesterday, residents were tight-lipped, some of them claiming that they were unaware of the situation. One man, however, said that the men were not known to the community and residents are unaware of what could have led them to their space. The car when them did park up neat in the parking lot with the back turned to the road, so nobody could really see inside. He probably did park about 7 minutes or so, and next thing me hear is bam bam bam. Me frightened so till because me honestly never know anybody in the car. Me don't know that the man them will get shot or what really happened, but it obviously something not right, he said. A police source said the incident occurred minutes after 9 p.m. He also theorized that the incident may have stemmed from a faulty transaction. It would seem as if the men were doing a transaction as they were parked at a dead-end road when they were attacked and shot by gunmen. The guy who was injured resides in Riverton Meadows. What I can say is that they had something that was very valuable in the car, but we are uncertain of what it was, he said. The senior cop said residents reported seeing at least 2 men running away from the Burgundy Toyota Wish motor car into a nearby community after the explosions were heard. He said the injured man is also the younger brother of a notorious gangster who was gunned down by the police in 1991. Family of 9 homeless appealing for help after fire got home. Heather Scott and the members of her family are homeless and left picking up the pieces following a fire that got to their home on Saturday afternoon. Scott said she was at the river when her daughter brought the news that the 4-bedroom dwelling they called home was engulfed in flames. Me day at the river, my daughter was at the spot at the time in her fall cub, and me see her run and come down and a ball. Why, mama, we done for now. But I thought it was something like down our little son. So me try to run up the road to see if it was any accident or anything. When I run, come up and see this big explosion. and a boy coming from a house way, and him say, Miss Dan, your house burn down flat. He come like me just get panic and start drop and roll. And some people come and help me up. And me go up by the house and see my daughter coming up from down the river and still a ball. When I go up and look, nothing safe. It was 4 rooms and the veranda and the kitchen. None of us lived there, Scott said. The house was valued at about $2 million. Marcia Lindo, Scott's daughter, added, me then at the folk up looking after me chickens, and then me smell burning. So me turn around and see a fire in the house, and me rush to get some water to out it and call my son. The fire just spread out as everywhere just start blaze. Everything burn up. The losses include clothing, school tablets, phones, money, passport, birth certificates, appliances, and furniture. The family is now being sheltered at Holy Mount Zion Church in the area and are appealing for help. Those who wish to assist may contact Mordecai Fuller or Pastor Marie Douglas at 876-427-7255. Teachers accept government's latest wage offer. Police decline. Delegates of the Jamaica Teachers Association JTA have voted to accept the government's latest wage offer following weeks of negotiations. On Monday evening, 68% of delegates brought the negotiations to a close, voting yes to the proposed package, with 30% voting no. 2% of delegates abstained. A total of 550 delegates voted. The acceptance means that educators will get a 4% salary increase and improvements in their fringe benefits package. They'll get an increase in book and software allowance, plus a laptop voucher in the amount of $90,000. JTA President Winston Smith said on Monday that members will be holding the government to its promises. We're not 100% happy with the offer, but as educators, we're holding the government to their word as we embark on negotiating the terms of a new public sector compensation document, with a view to ensure that the island's teachers receive a better compensation, especially the principals of multi-grade primary schools, he said. A compensation review for teachers is slated to begin in April. Meanwhile, police wage negotiations remain at a standstill after members of the Central Committee of the Jamaica Police Federation on Monday rejected the latest offer. We anticipate an urgent invitation to continue the negotiation process, a statement from the Central Committee read. Admissibility of phone recordings hangs in balance. Chief Justice Brian Sykes signaled on Monday that secret recordings of conversations between alleged members of the Wandon gang might not be accepted as evidence in the trial. The recordings, on which the prosecution is heavily relying to help prove its case against the 33 alleged gangsters, were captured by a former top-tier gang member using 3 cellular phones. Justice Sykes put the prosecution on notice that they need to make submissions on Thursday on whether the recordings have met the legal requirements of the Evidence Amendment Act 2015 for them to be admitted into evidence, following which he'll make a ruling. According to Section 31G, in order for a recording to be admitted, it must be established that the computer that is used to generate the recordings is in good working condition when it was used. The attempts by the prosecution to have the recordings, cell phones, and transcripts admitted have been fraught with setbacks. So far, only the 3 cellular phones have been accepted as evidence after several failed attempts. Justice Sykes, however, gave the order to the prosecution after a cyber incident response expert who had extracted the recordings from the 3 phones was unable to tell the court whether the application that was used to capture the recordings was functioning properly at the time. The judge grilled the expert about whether he would have been able to tell what software was used and if it was working, but the officer said that although there are applications that could determine the condition, it would work on larger devices. At the same time, he told the court that if the software was malfunctioning at the time of use, the recordings would not have opened or would open and crash. The expert witness told the court that he did not do a full analysis of the recordings. Instead, he said he did a preliminary report, as he had left the force before the investigator had got back to him with feedback on what he required. Sykes, after hearing that the investigating officer had not provided the expert with the feedback, described the situation as shorthand work. The prosecution also recalled on Monday one of the cops who had typed 2 of the 3 transcripts of a recording in an attempt to get the 2 transcripts admitted. However, the judge told the prosecution that it would first have to deal with the recordings. The trial will resume on Thursday. Jamaica reports 128 new COVID cases, 2 deaths. Jamaica reported 128 new cases of COVID-19 and 1 fatality on Monday, according to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This pushed the total number of cases of the virus since the start of the pandemic to 126,350 and the death toll to 2,699. Of the newly reported cases, there were 69 females and 59 males, with ages ranging from 3 months to 100 years. The cases were recorded in St. James 44, St. Thomas 19, Kingston and St. Andrew 16, Manchester 11, Clarendon 7, Trelawney 7, Westmoreland 7, Hanover 5, St. Catherine 4, St. Anne 3, St. Elizabeth 2, St. Mary 2, and Portland 1. Meanwhile, the latest victim is a 63-year-old female from St. Catherine. Another death was reported as coincidental, and 4 other deaths were reported under investigation. The country also recorded 195 new recoveries, bringing the total number of recoveries to 71,818. The positivity rate for the latest round of testing was 13.9%. There are 387 people hospitalized, 8 of them critically ill. There are 3,746 confirmed active cases on the island. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.